Hi, this is Shui with a review of the Puma All Pro, Clyde All Pro. They gotta stop using the name Clyde. We know Walt Frazier is an incredible player, um, but these days people don't even know who Clyde Drexler is. So Puma, stop using this as the brand name. You understand that you're paying tribute or homage to Walt Frazier, who was the first to don a low-cut suede Puma basketball shoe with the outsole pattern and the overall silhouette and whatnot. But yeah, we got to drop that name and try to come up with a better name than All Pro. What are you gonna do next? The Puma Boosh? The Padidas? God, you guys. Anyway, this is a pretty decent shoe. I love how Puma is sticking to its initial guts, going with the Clyde series, Clyde hardwood series silhouette. Among the Puma shoes that's been released so far, I've not tried the RS Dreamer, but I heard the foam cushioning is really good. The Clyde hardwood had a pretty good foam cushioning as well, and this one they've improved upon it by adding a boost type material in the heel. They call it the Puma used to call it the Energy. They stopped using it for a while, and now they brought it back, and it looks like they used it nicely. I think it's a little puck, a little disc of a foam in the heel, not a full length version. Even if it's full length, you don't really feel much of it on the forefoot because it's very low to the ground. The heel Energy cushioning is pretty good. It seems like they've made a lot of improvement after research. They use the same chemical ingredient that Adidas used for Boost, and they need to cook it up in their own little kitchen. And I think they're finding the right mix as time goes on. And this foam material is pretty good. So the foam combined with this Energy foam cell, it's nicely complementing each other. The heel cushioning is, if you want to compare it to other Boost foams, the typical Adidas Boost shoes like the Hardens or some of the D-Rose, you can clearly feel the boost in the heel, but not so much in the forefoot. In terms of that, the heel boost sensation, this is lower to the ground and as soft, if not softer, than the Adidas Boost basketball shoes. So that is one thing that Puma got right this time. For the forefoot, though, it's very minimal, low to the ground. And another thing you need to keep in mind is that the insole is really thick. It's not removable, so I'll just show little bits of it that I can pull out. See, the Ortholite insole is super thick. It's certainly thicker than most conventional ones out there in the market in most shoes. And so the heel itself, even without the insole, it has substantial amount of low profile cushioning and shock absorption. And of course, the Ortholite insole adds to that stepping comfort. But on the forefoot, because it's so much thinner, it's like the Ortholite takes up 20 to 30% of the overall cushioning. So what's good and what's bad about these shoes is that if you like shoes that mold to the shape of your foot, but then you don't need much cushioning on the forefoot, just a level that would just hug some of the grooves of your toes and your forefoot, then that's good. But if you need a level of cushioning, in case you pivot or step hard or make a lot of moves on your forefoot or your toes, and you will get blisters if you don't have a certain level of cushioning, like a Zoom or Boost or Lunar or any type of foam on the forefoot. If you're gonna get hurt without those extra level of cushioning, you might want to skip on this because it'll bottom out as the Ortholite bottoms out, and there's very minimal cushioning on the forefoot if you were to remove the insole and actually try the shoes. It's not too bad. It's better than a lot of the super thin Boost Adidas basketball shoes where you don't really feel anything on the forefoot even though you can see the boost. It's certainly better than that, but it's not the level of forefoot cushioning that you would pay big money for. Ortholite forms to your foot. The Ortholite cushioning will bottom out, so you have very good clear heel cushioning and a smooth ride to the forefoot, but not a lot of cushioning on the forefoot. That's something you should keep in mind. As for the uppers, it looks like knit, but this is actually reminiscent of the Kobe 9s from Nike. It actually has a leather upper, and then it's already substantial enough. It's getting the job done, but just for aesthetics purpose, they have this knit material later on top. So it's just like a little bit of an icing. It doesn't serve any purpose it really doesn't do much. It's just the leather inside that's that's doing all the work. You can see this whole thing. There's leather. So that just adds the weight. Some sacrifice for the aesthetics. For a size 9.5, it weighs around 370 grams, so it's not exactly on the light side, but it does feel much lighter than what the digits show. Overall, the padding is pretty decent. Nothing chafing, but there's a bit of a heel slip because I guess there's lackadaisical pads that hug your Achilles and heel in. So a bit of a heel slip. If you're sensitive about that, something you should keep in mind. The size, it's a bit narrow. If you're used to wearing the Kobe's or the Kyrie's 1, 2, 3, 4, true to size, then you probably will find this fitting just fine. You might even want to go down half a size but for normal people like me who actually go up a whole size for Kyrie's 1, 2, 3, 4 or some Kobe's, I actually had to go up half a size because I had this pinching sensation around the pinky area, the pinky toe joint area. It's not exactly the longest fitting shoe. So if you like a really tight fit, I would say maybe go true to size, but generally go up half a size to stay safe. You'll be wearing socks and whatnot, so there will be some space that's gonna be filled. One thing is that the toe box is quite, it fits. It fits more firmly around your toes. It's not crazy high. A lot of Adidas model has this super spacious toe box area, which makes it really insecure. This is nice, but herein lies the problem. Maybe if you could add a few lace loops to tighten this part up, it will be good to provide a lockdown. But if you really lace things up here, you would feel a little bit of a bubble forming here. That might actually make you feel a little insecure. The tongue is nicely padded. Ventilation is not bad. The leather material has some holes in between, so there's a little bit of ventilation, but not on the forefoot area, or more on the sides. And it does have a bit of an outrigger, but if you want to give an outrigger, as to quote Crocodile Dundee, that's not an outrigger. This is an outrigger. That's a knife. So nice try, but it's not bad. It's not too bad compared to some of the dangerous models out there like the LeBron 18s, which has nothing there, and it's crazy dangerous in terms of lateral stability. The base is not too narrow either, and the cushioning is low to the ground, so there's in terms of lateral stability, it's decent. I wish they would have made a bigger outrigger here. The outsole pattern does pay homage to the original Clydes, as in the zigzag hardwood, kind of like the ones you find in the old Boston Garden. They do provide multi-directional traction, and good to have this pivot point. The grooves are not too light, a little bit light around the pivot area, but overall it's pretty decent. And on the heel, they continue the same waffle traction that they've had in the Clyde hardwood. But overall, it's pretty good. The rubber, it's very tacky and nice. So even with some dust, it still maintains a certain level of grip. Better than a lot of those copy-paste Adidas lazy herringbone pattern. But when you have a tendency to perhaps not always be flat on the floor, be flat-footed, but rather be moving kind of like against one particular corner or stepping on one particular edge of the shoe, you're gonna be slipping a little bit because the traction only covers the main pivotal core areas only. So if you're a shifty guard, you might feel a little bit of a slippage around here and there. So that's something Adidas Puma could work on. It's good to try to pay homage to your heritage, but let's get with the times. This is a performance wear, so try to work on the traction and be more 21st century. The price is pretty steep for a low-cut shoe with minimal cushioning. It's on sale, but I still find it kind of expensive. I would not cop these unless they're under $100. Also, although they're not visible, there is a certain level of plate or hardened material here to provide some level of springiness or stability. You can't see it, but you can feel this really hard material here on the core, and it's right on the outsole, so it's not hindering the midsole cushioning. So that's a job well done by Puma. Really would like to know if it's just, well, to me, the eye test shows if you press and if you can see it, you can press it, you can feel it. It's just this little puck in the heel for the energy, not the full length. But even if it's full length, it's really thin, so you won't be able to feel it as much anyway.